You're watching ESPN's Champ Week presented by Principal. It is semifinal number 2 of the Ohio Valley Conference between the Murray State Racers and the Gamecocks of Jacksonville State University. And everybody's here in Evansville, Indiana to get a look at the super sophomore for the Racers, Ja Morant, the projected number 3 pick in the upcoming NBA draft. And among those who have made the trip here to the Ford Center, Larry Fitzgerald, future Pro Football Hall of Famer of the Arizona Cardinals. And Bulls GM Gar Forman is one of 5 NBA general managers inside the Ford Center getting a look at Ja Morant. And oh, by the way, basketball royalty, Earvin Magic Johnson is in the building. He has flown in from Los Angeles to get a personal close-up view of young Mr. Ja Morant. And welcome everybody. Doug Sherman along with Malcolm Huckabee. So glad you could be here tonight. It is going to be a fun night inside the Ford Center here. We are happy to be here. You're going to be happy to watch. And Malcolm, the Ja Morant phenomenon here in Evansville is very much on display tonight.
Yeah, just a typical night in Evansville, Indiana. All eyes are on Ja Morant. You got stars coming in to see him. NBA execs throughout the building. Ja Morant is a special player, one of the most exciting players that we've seen in college basketball in a very long time. He has the ability to score the ball. He has the ability to create highlight reels. But for me, what makes him special, Doug, his ability to pass the ball. Right now, averaging 10 assists a game, makes everybody around him better. Truly a special talent.
And with more on Ja Morant, we bring in the 3rd member of our team here tonight, Brooke Weisbrod.
Yeah, so to give you an idea of the Ja Morant effect, head coach Matt McMahon told me the story about how Ja Morant, Tevin Brown, and Rick Buchanan all signed on the same day. 2 days later, they all made the trip to Murray State to watch the upset against Illinois State at the buzzer. Ja and Tevin both had to drive 9 hours. Shaq drove 4 hours, but at the end of the game, they all celebrated the win in the locker room together. Coach McMahon said that he felt like they were already a part of the team from that day on, and that it feels like Ja has been a part of the program for a lot longer than 2 years.
He is 6'3", 175 pounds. When you see this team just walk into the building, you don't necessarily have your eyes go to him, but as soon as the ball goes up, you know which one Ja Morant is. He plays for the 4th-year head coach at Murray State, Matt McMahon, who played himself at Appalachian State in the late 90s, graduated in 2000, a 40-year-old native of Oak Ridge, Tennessee, and he's got his team on the verge of getting back to the NCAA tournament for the 2nd year in a row. The Racers are the defending OVC tournament champs. They come in as the number 2 seed after having shared the regular season championship with Belmont, who earlier tonight we saw win their semifinals. So the Belmont Bruins await the winner of this one here tonight. There's Ray Harper, the 3rd-year head coach of the Gamecocks. Former Texas Longhorn. He played a couple of years at UT before transferring back closer to home and playing at Kentucky Wesleyan, where he was a star back in the mid-'80s. He has this Jacksonville State program in the midst of a record-setting season, looking for their 25th win of the year. Murray State in the white, Jacksonville State in the red, and we are underway in Evansville, Indiana. And there is a look at Demetrius Jamel Morant. Ja Morant from tiny Dalzell, South Carolina, population 2,200.
Well, Jacksonville State comes out and man-to-man.
Off the turnover, going end-to-end. A beautiful finish by Jamal Gregory, senior out of Coolidge High School, Washington, D.C., and it's the Gamecocks on the board first.
And, Doug, this is a huge game for Murray State. Joe Lunardi just put out his latest results, and Murray State is not a lock if they don't win this tournament to get into the NCAA tournament.
Well, if the 2019 OVC Player of the Year, Ja Morant, has anything to say about it, they won't have to worry about what the committee thinks of the Racers. Jacksonville State has won 8 games in a row coming in. Murray State's won 9 in a row. Hudson, Gregory, Hunter Cunningham, and Burnell, a veteran bunch led by Burnell, who is a senior from DeLand, Florida. First team All-OVC, averaging 17 points and nearly 10 rebounds a game. Pass intended for him goes out of bounds, deflected by Murray State. Well, for Jacksonville State, they are riding, as mentioned, their second 8-game winning streak of the season. That's the longest winning streak the program has had since it transitioned up from Division II back in 1995. Heady times indeed for Jamal Gregory and the Gamecocks. This is Ty Hudson, the Clemson transfer. Lost the dribble, and here comes Ja Morant.
Well, he is flexing early in transition. One of the better finishes, but takes a hard screen.
Christian Cunningham laid Morant out. The official said it was a clean screen. Got some physical action here in the early going. Wide open, Tevin Brown. He's got to start shooting better if Murray State wants to be cutting down the nets tomorrow night.
And Jacksonville State, you can tell they want to be physical with Morant. Again, anytime he gets into the lane, they want to put a body in front of him.
Ty Hudson into the lane, dumps it off. And a friendly roll on that rim for Marlon Hunter. Coming off a solid quarterfinal performance where he scored 16. This Jacksonville State team found itself down 10 at the half last night to UT Martin, but rallied behind the hot shooting of Dietrich Mistella. Morant sizing up his defender, trying to work on Hunter. Into the paint, and a whistle on the shot.
Well, he started this game off early, bringing the crowd to their feet. Turned the ball over. One of the most explosive players in college basketball in transition. His elbow is in the rim right there. Ja Morant showing off the hops early.
Well, he is certainly flashy on the court, but pretty quiet off it. And all of the national media attention that has come to tiny Murray, Kentucky over the last month is actually over the last 3 months has prompted Coach McMahon and the staff at Murray State to politely decline, other than post games, national media requests to try and keep life as normal as possible for Ja Morant. But nothing's normal about this young man with the world that he has created with his talent.
And you know, a lot of people forget he wasn't even the freshman of the year in this conference last season. His numbers obviously have improved dramatically, and he has come on to the national spotlight. And I think that's a smart move by the coaches to get some of that attention away from him off the court and let him just focus on basketball right now as they get closer to postseason.
Well, Morant played a secondary role last year for Murray State because he shared the backcourt with the OVC Player of the Year. Beautiful feed, his first assist of the night on the throwdown.
We've seen a few players slip early in this game, and the OVC has some decals out on the court. That's something we want to watch because there was a game played right before this, so certainly don't want any type of dangerous situation out on the court with those decals out on the floor.
Well, you know, his athletic ability is what really draws the attention for Ja Morant. But if you ask his coaches, it's his passing ability and his willingness to pass and his understanding of the game that really sets him apart.
Well, Doug, there's a lot of guys that score a lot of points, 24, 20. But there's very few guys that are going to be able to average 24 and put up 10 assists and do it in a way that he does it, where he just makes everybody around him better. And that's the reason why you have the likes of Magic Johnson in the stands and all these NBA execs. Not only is he good for himself, but he makes the team better.
Tough shot, Jamal Gregory. He's had the hot hand to start for Jacksonville State. And the number 3 seed back in front. He's got 7 of their 9. Morant with a left hand. So soft off the glass.
Oh, he just makes it look easy. That's not an easy shot. Going to his left, finishing over the defense with his left hand. That's a difficult shot. He made that look like a routine layup.
Second opportunity for the Gamecocks, and a third try goes in for Jason Burnell. First 2 points for the senior, all conference forward.
I love the energy that they've come out with. They are attacking. That time, great work by Burnell on the offensive glass.
Morant. Nearly 5 minutes gone. The winner gets Belmont in the conference final tomorrow night. We already saw one performance tonight. Dylan Windler for the Belmont Bruins was outstanding. 31 points, 21 rebounds to get the #1 seed on through the championship game. Make it 32 points. And Morant is fouled on the shot by Ty Hudson. And so Morant will be at the line when we come back. The #3 overall prospect in this year's NBA draft has gotten off to a quick start. He has 8 points for Murray State's 10. And he's gotten some of it done in highlight fashion. A dunk, a jumper, a finish, and he's off to a good start. At Murray State in recent years, Isaiah Cannon, Cameron Payne, now John Morant. First two onto the NBA, and certainly John Morant will be there in just a matter of months. Projected as the #3 overall pick. And the reason why John Morant didn't really blow up nationally last year, because he was playing a secondary role to that man. Jonathan Stark was the 2018 OVC Player of the Year. They shared a backcourt. And John Morant really played a secondary role to the upperclassmen.
Well, they keep putting out guards like this. We're just going to call them Guard U. I mean, what a list of guards that they have put out over the last 10 years. It's just been phenomenal. And guys that are playing at the next level for a paycheck. This guy right here pretty soon is going to be playing for one as well.
Stark wound up spending the summer and the fall with the Minnesota Timberwolves. Made it to the middle of October in training camp before being let go, but the Timberwolves still have his rights. They've got him playing at their G League affiliate in Iowa. So we may have 4 Murray State Racers guards out of the last decade in the NBA.
Well, Doug, if I'm Jacksonville State right now, I'm living with John Morant shooting jumpers. I know that's easier said than done, keeping him out of the lane, but I think that's the one area where I would live with that right there. But if he knocks that down consistently, he is virtually unguardable at the college level. His quickness and explosiveness is really just something we have not seen in a very long time at this level.
Well, Malcolm, how do you make him a jump shooter? I mean, to me, it sounds much easier to say than to do.
Well, he came into this game, he's 34% from beyond the arc.
Which is not awful.
It is not, but trying to keep him out of the lane, again, that is something that nobody has been able to do thus far.
Coar picks up his first. You know how they like to say that Dean Smith was the only one who could hold Michael Jordan under 20 points? We could say the same about Jonathan Stark, last year's OVC Player of the Year, about John Morant. You play your role that's been given to you by your coach, in this case for the Racers, fourth-year head coach Matt McMahon. Last year as a secondary player, he was the runner-up in the Freshman of the Year voting in the OVC, and then this year storms onto the national scene. And you know, that national exposure really started when he got invited last summer to the CP3 camp, the elite guard camp, and played in front of scouts. And let's go back over to Brooke. She's got more on John Morant.
Well, another superstar who rolled through Murray State, Isaiah Cannon, who's also used to a lot of early NBA attention. I reached out to him and I said, hey, what do you think about John Morant? And he said, I think he's a good player. I think he's smart. What I love about him, though, is that he lets the game come to him. He trusts his teammates, and he keeps them motivated. I mean, anybody that can convince you to get in a car and drive 9 hours to a game after you sign a letter of intent, yeah, I'd say he knows how to get his teammates involved.
Well, Doug, pretty soon he's going to be taking a private jet. I doubt he's going to be driving 9 hours anytime in the next few years when he gets into the NBA. Just an unbelievable talent.
I'm guessing Magic Johnson wouldn't mind having him jump on the private jet and fly back to Los Angeles after this game. Magic is among the NBA executives who've made the trip. There is Irvin Magic Johnson of the Lakers. And there are over 40 NBA scouts and executives, as many as 5 general managers. We've heard also that the New York Knicks have their entire front office basically here in Evansville. That's how serious they are, because the Knicks will wind up having one of the top picks, if not the top pick, in this year's NBA draft.
You know, you look at Ja Morant and the media attention around him. I think the coaching staff has done a nice job isolating him. They shut pretty much everything down really to Mondays, try to clear his schedule so now he can just focus on basketball over this last month.
Well, we here at ESPN certainly have devoted plenty of time talking about Ja Morant. Here's his pass to the rim, defended beautifully and stolen away by Burnell. He read that play perfectly. Leads to a layup at the other end. Defense into offense for Maurice Dunlap. Well, the social media attention continues to fly all over the place. Our ESPN analyst Jay Billis, Dick Vitale, Fran Fraschilla among the millions who are paying attention, tweeting. There's Jay back on January 11th. Get to know this kid, Ja Morant. He is legit. Dickie V says he's the real deal, of course. A scoring whiz with fantastic vision. And then Fran Fraschilla saying finally on January 17th, everybody's caught on. If the team with the #1 pick needs a point guard, he should be considered.
Yeah, it's just, he's a special talent. Again, there's a lot of guys that can score. There's a lot of guys that are quick and can get in the lane, a lot of guys that can shoot, but you know, you average a double-double right now, which he's doing, 24 and 10 assists, obviously to go along with the explosive ability. And the thing that really I've been impressed with is his basketball IQ. He makes a lot of great decisions with the ball.
So is that young man, Burnell, always under control. You know, he picked up a couple of fouls early in the game last night as the Gamecocks fell behind by 10 to UT Martin, but he came on in the second half along with Mustella to make sure Jacksonville State made it onto the semifinal round. But what would it take for Ja Morant to be picked ahead of Zion Williamson? Is that even a possibility? Off the steal, Cunningham had his pocket picked. And we'll talk about what it would take for Ja Morant to, could he possibly be the #1 overall pick? Putting on a show so far tonight. We're tied at 16 in the OVC semis. And then #7 Michigan, #9 Michigan State in another big time sequel. Both games are also streaming live on the ESPN app, so you can watch anywhere. And Malcolm Huckabee coming into the year, it was RJ Barrett who seemed to be the consensus #1 projected pick in the 2019 NBA draft, but that very quickly changed to Zion Williamson, and pretty much everybody says for sure it's going to be Zion. But is there a chance? How would it happen that Ja Morant could wind up being the #1 overall pick? Is it even possible?
Well, I think it's still Zion Williamson #1. Now, obviously, if there's a team with a need for a point guard, and there's a potential trade situation or something like that, but otherwise, I still believe Zion Williamson is going to be the top pick. Could Ja move into that second pick? Absolutely.
Well, guys, I've seen a lot of Duke games this year up close and personal. This is my second time seeing Ja Morant play. I am a huge Ja Morant supporter and fan, but do you take him #1 over Zion? Like, not even a no? That is a nah. Like, what are you thinking? Zion's the ticket. You got to go him #1 pick.
Well, as Fran Fraschilla tweeted out, now this is a tweet that was 2 months ago. He said, if you're a team that needs a point guard, you got to look at this guy. So, you know, depending on how the draft lottery plays out, if a team that feels it needs a point guard, would they consider him? I don't know. I agree, though. I agree. How do you not take Zion Williamson for a million reasons? But Morant certainly has climbed from being not even hardly mentioned coming into the year to being a consensus top 5. We've got him as a #3 pick. He just continues to produce. He has scored virtually every Murray State point. He's got 16 of their 20. And he's also assisted on one of the other buckets. And he's only missed 1 shot. Hard to top that.
And he's so hard to even trap. Again, you try to get the ball out of his hand, he can beat double teams. Obviously an excellent passer. And he really just has been a handful to match up with.
Great pass through the double team to find Cunningham for the flush. Back to a 2-point ball game coming up on the midpoint of the first half here in Evansville, Indiana. Top seed Belmont won the first semifinal and awaits the winner of this one tomorrow night. Burnell always draws a crowd. Able to again find the open man, this time for a three. It's Mostella, the former Tennessee Volunteer, who gives the Gamecocks the lead.
And he is the one guy Murray State must find. Last night, 21 points. He had 6 threes in that game. He's almost automatic if you give him that much space.
Yeah, he was 6 of 11 against UT Martin last night for a guy shooting in the 20 percentile range. But he still got that good feeling tonight. Buchanan blocked the first shot. Gamecocks keep coming and lay it in. Foul in the fight for the rebound. And it goes against Maurice Dunlap, senior from Greenwood, Mississippi, picks up his first. It's the third against Jacksonville State.
Jacksonville State last night, Doug, you talked about it. They went into the half down. Came out in that second half, a lot of energy, and they were able to execute. In particular, Mostella had a big second half for Jacksonville State.
Yeah, he had a couple of heat check moments where it was obvious Mostella was going to shoot and he was going to make it. He did that. So he finished with 21 points, and Burnell overcame the foul trouble, finished with 19 points after spending a lot of the first half on the bench. And there's a Jacksonville State team that plays excellent defense. They don't go deep on the bench, usually 7-8 man rotation, but they are very, very good. They won this tournament just a couple of years ago. Outlet comes to Morant. Ja behind the back. Finds the open man. It's Brown for three. In and out. But the putback by Shaq Buchanan. Coach McMahon says this is Buchanan and Morant's team. And the senior from Madison, Mississippi pulls Murray State back within a point.
Yeah, that's great work on the offensive glass after the beautiful setup by Ja Morant.
Another good look to find the open Gamecock. Burnell's pass, though, led to an air ball by Dunlap. It'll be Jacksonville State basketball.
Well, this right here is why Ja Morant is the projected #3 pick. Look at this. Behind the back, get into the lane, and then find a wide open shooter. He just elevates everybody around him.
He's got the ball on a string. Over the back foul against the Gamecocks. Jakara Cross commits his first personal foul. 8:11 remaining in the first half. Now, Murray State has won 26 OVC regular season championships, either outright or shared, over the years. This is one of the signature programs in the league. Jacksonville State, one of the newcomers, transitioned to D1 in 1995, moved to the OVC in 2003. But like Belmont, Jacksonville State has proven itself to be a force in short order in this league. But essentially here tonight, they are playing a road game. The folks from Murray State have made the short drive. They're out in force, but their racers are down a point. Second semifinal of the OVC, Jacksonville State with a 1-point lead over Murray State. Everybody watching Ja Morant, including Lakers president and GM Magic Johnson, who's standing by with our Brooke Weisbrod.
That's right, Magic, one of many NBA representatives here in the house, to watch a lot of talent here on the floor tonight. And as you look, not only here, but across the college basketball landscape, what do you see and what's your evaluation of the talent out there?
Well, there's a lot of talent, and there's a lot of great teams. And I'm hoping that both Murray State and Belmont make it to the NCAA tournament. Both of them deserve it. Of course, they have great players. They're very well coached. So that would be great because they have players that I think the NCAA fans would really enjoy seeing.
And as you take a look at the game tonight and see skill sets that you might need for your organization, what stands out in terms of this is what we need right now?
Well, I think that, you know, we're seeing you got some great shooters, you got some great point guards, you got, you know, and you got some great athletes too. So I'm impressed by both teams. And so there, again, I like well-coached teams, and both of them are well-coached. And then, you know, you just see how much talent there is in college basketball. And so, I can't wait till March Madness in terms of the tournament starts. But I'm hoping that both teams get in, because I think that both teams deserve, Belmont and Murray State deserve to be in the NCAA tournament. And the mid-majors sometimes get overlooked, but we got to make sure that we look at them and get them in the tournament.
Let's go back to March of 1979, a favorable time for you at Michigan State. What was this time of year like for you?
Oh, it was exciting. You know, we didn't have conference tournaments like they do today. And so we had to win our conference. So we won the Big Ten both my years that I was in school, and Michigan State then to go on and win the championship and beat a guy that's from this state too. The legend Larry Bird, you know, from Indiana, not too far from here, Prince Lick. But it was great to be able to be in the NCAA tournament, and also just to have your school and see the fans. I'm really proud of Murray State. Man, they brought a lot of people here. This is amazing. So this is what it's all about. And I think that both teams are giving us a great game. I mean, a one-point game right now. So it's exciting for me as the president of basketball of the Lakers, as well as Rob Pelinka here, our general manager. We're just looking at these young men and seeing how talented they are. And, of course, we're zeroing in on certain ones, but we can't talk about them because they're amateurs.
Well, we will certainly respect that, but we thank you for your time and your evaluation.
And you're doing great, too.
I try. Thank you.
All right, God bless.
Thank you, Magic.
And we agree, and we thank Magic for giving us a few minutes here, and any time you get basketball royalty in the building, it really heightens the sense of excitement here at the Ford Center. While we were talking to Magic, here's what happened.
Yeah, a lot of contact right there. That's beautiful concentration and body control. Jarring, though. Not sure what they're, yeah, definitely a tech, but certainly that's a beautiful finish right there after taking a hit. Eyes on the rim the whole time.
Yeah, taunting on Jason Burrell after he made the bucket. He sat there on the floor flexing and then screaming at the man who fouled him, and so the officials took another look. And that led to a couple of free throws for John Morant. He made the first, missed the second. We've got ourselves a 25 all-time. Well, you're old enough. I'm old enough. I remember watching Magic with Michigan State. The joy that he played with for Judd Heathcote, it was just magical. No pun intended. And I remember, like you remember, the build-up that year with the anticipation that you'd have Larry Bird against Magic Johnson. And when it came to pass, it just was one of those seminal moments in my childhood, your childhood, that you'll never forget.
No, and I had the chance to call a game at Indiana State this year in the Missouri Valley Conference, where they were honoring that Final Four team. And you know, one of the stats I don't think people really understand, Larry Bird scored over 1,000 points in one season. Let me say that again. Larry Bird scored over 1,000 points in one season. Most guys, they don't ever get there. A lot take 4 years. He did it in one season. We showed some clips from that game. Those two guys, I think they were game changers. They took the game globally. Magic, Bird, Jordan, those guys, but certainly that Final Four with Larry Bird and Magic Johnson, that was one for the history books.
Brown, nothing but net. He had no three-point line back then either, back in the late 70s. Larry Legend and the Magic Man. Under 7 minutes remaining. The winner gets Belmont in the championship game tomorrow. Joe Lunardi says Belmont is in the field of 68. Win or lose tomorrow. Murray State is in his next 4 out. So they've got work to do, and even if they do that work tonight, they may not get in unless they cut down the nets tomorrow. The resume for Murray State, their big problem is that they have a poor strength of schedule. Look at that, 290. There are 353 Division I college basketball teams this year, and their strength of schedule is nearly 300.
Yeah, and sometimes, look, it is what it is. The numbers don't lie. That's not a good resume for Murray State. I think the shame of it is, obviously, a lot of folks want to see this young man with the ball, Ja Morant.
Morant has his shot blocked by Cunningham. I mean, the record is tremendous. 25-4. Went 16-2 in conference. Like you said, they have one of the signature players in college basketball. The little behind the back flip. Sanchez was fouled, and he will shoot two.
And I think that's a great call by the ref. He was leaning to his right. I felt if he would have just held his ground, then yes, maybe. But right here, you take a look at Ja Morant, his ability to create for others. And then, yes, I think that's a good call. He was leaning instead of just holding his ground. Good call by the refs.
And Sabrian Sanchez, senior from Pompano Beach, Florida. More of a rim protector, doesn't score all that much. Gets his first point at the free throw line. He's out of the same high school, Northeast High School, as former Racer great TJ Sapp. And Sanchez also played quarterback in high school. He was recruited as a tight end at the FCS level, but wanted to come to Murray, Kentucky to play college basketball instead.
That would have been a pretty big quarterback.
6'8", 245.
Yeah, there's not too many of those guys floating around. Maybe Cam Newton might be able to put up those type of physical numbers, but certainly they're happy to have him here at Murray State.
16 times the Racers have been to the NCAA tournament over the years. Couple of wins away from doing it again. They're riding a 9-game winning streak right now. Ja Morant. Nice kick out to Tevin Brown. He's starting to heat up. The lead stretches to 5. And a timeout used by the Gamecocks. It's the largest lead of the night for Murray State. Back to Evansville in 30 seconds. You know, LeBron just passed Michael for 4th on the all-time scoring list. What will he do? NBA Countdown, 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific on ABC. And you can always watch both on the ESPN app from anywhere.
Doug, we got ourselves a ball game now. It looks like Murray State has a momentum swing going here. We see another nice offensive possession for Murray State. I think the big change of this full court pressure right here, they've extended their pressure on Jacksonville State, and they have not had an answer.
Force another timeout. Murray State's rattled off the last 7 points, and they extend their lead to 35-28. Ja Morant, no surprise, leads all scorers with 17 points. He's been very efficient. And the sophomore from Dalzell, South Carolina, has had it all on display.
And the thing I like, Doug, he has not forced it. He has not forced any shots in this game right here. In transition, showing off his explosiveness, making a difficult shot look easy going to his left, showing off the NBA range. But for me, this right here, his ability to get into the lane and create for himself or others is the reason why you have all these NBA execs in the house and Magic Johnson sitting courtside.
And, you know, Ja Morant pulled a fast one on his official visit to Coach McMahon's house during the recruitment. His father, T, told the coach that Ja didn't feel well and that he was prone to hot flashes. So Ja went to the bathroom, and at the point where the coach was like, oh, no, I'm going to lose this recruit right after he got here, trying to turn down the thermostat, hoping he's okay. Ja comes back out of the bathroom with a Racer shirt on, big smile on his face, says, I want to be a Racer. Mom and Dad put on caps, and the rest is history. Coach McMahon got his man. And that kind of is in keeping with what we know of Ja Morant. He wasn't somebody who was going to have a big production. He wasn't going to have a cap ceremony at the high school. He wanted to have it personally in the coach's home and tell him face to face. With just over 4 minutes remaining in the half. Racers on the run. Morant slips, goes down, seems to be okay. He's back up as the Gamecocks have possession. Gregory can't snap the 7-0 run. The Racers have it back. Brown. Gets his own miss. And on second effort, it's Jack Buchanan.
Second chance opportunities right now. Murray State is quicker to the ball, and they're playing with a lot more sense of urgency and effort.
Single coverage on the post, and Cunningham goes to the left hand to take advantage.
That's a big bucket to stop the run of Murray State. And Doug, again, we talked about this in the first game, and having to turn around after playing last night, Jacksonville State, and coming up against John Morant and Murray State, that is no easy task for anybody. You got to start thinking about fatigue as we start getting deeper into this game.
Williams, goaltend, count the basket, and it's another assist for number 12. It's a 10-point lead for the Racers over the Gamecocks. Who do you compare him to, both in college basketball from back in the day and now in the NBA?
Well, the first guy that pops up, Westbrook. You know, the ability to get out in the open court and finish with the athleticism, that's the first thing that comes to mind. Russell Westbrook, you look at those pictures right there. They are just such superior athletes, and their ability to put you on a poster, as you see Westbrook right there, and his days at UCLA. But for me, John Morant is something different, because right now, Doug, he is the only player averaging over 20 points and 10 assists.
Right.
That's just remarkable that you have a guy with that high of a usage and able to average that many assists in a game. It's just something that, again, I haven't seen in a very long time. Really, you got to go back to the days of the guy sitting courtside right now, Magic Johnson.
Oh, I thought you meant me.
Yeah. Nah, but, you know, it's so fun to watch. I mean, this is just fun, and you look at these numbers. The comparison, it's there. I mean, and think about it. This young man is not even over 20 years old yet.
Well, give him another dime on the beautiful feed to KJ Williams. And again, his passing tool, the ability to see the floor and share the basketball, not only is a good formula for winning games, it also makes you a good teammate, makes your teammates want to share with you and share in the fun. And they don't begrudge you. You know, we have seen over the years, for instance, last year when Trae Young had such a marvelous individual season for Oklahoma. But as the Big 12 season went on, the wheels really fell off for the Sooners. And there were reports that there was dissension within the ranks. Now, from what we can tell here at Murray State, there is none of that when it comes to John Morant and his teammates.
Well, it's a tough situation. Again, you have, you know, other players that these coaches are responsible on the team. They have aspirations as well in terms of getting some of that media attention. You just don't want it turning into a circus. It's easy to see how that can turn into really a situation where there's some team dissension.
So again, the Murray State staff had limited the national attention to only Mondays, and then about a month ago they said that's even too much, because he could spend his whole day on the phone doing interviews. Reporters were making the long trip to Murray, Kentucky, and of course all the television folks were wanting to talk to him every day, so they have reined that in hopes of trying to keep it as normal as possible. Under a minute remaining first half, a 10-0 Murray State run opened up this double-figure lead. Buchanan got his hand on the basketball again, but then the foul is called. Goes against KJ Williams, the freshman from Cleveland, Mississippi, his second. And defensively, Murray State's done a nice job. They have forced 9 Jacksonville State turnovers, and that was part of their run to get out to this lead. John Morant, 17 points, 4 assists to lead the Racers as Jamal Gregory makes the first. Coming up on the Audi halftime report, Duke, North Carolina, Michigan, Michigan State. We'll preview both those two huge games to be played tomorrow. And also we'll be talking mid-major stars. Of course, John Morant, and then Mike Daum, Chris Clemens, Chris Cotter, Dallin Cuff, Sean Farnham. They'll be at the half, breaking it all down, coming up in just a few moments.
Doug, we had one on display in our first semifinal game. I'll tell you what, there has been talent throughout this conference.
Yeah, add Dylan Windler to that list. You know, he is part of the reason why there are more than 40 NBA scouts here in the building in Evansville tonight. Projected as a second-round pick, and based on what we saw in the first semifinal, the Belmont senior is going to be moving up those draft boards.
Well, I can read through some of Magic's words. And when you're building a team, not everybody, you don't need them to be superstars. For me, Dylan Windler, he is a nice piece to a championship team. If you need a guy that can stretch the D, certainly he's really good with the ball. I can see him going to a team and then blossoming into a star. He is just that talented. And again, he is a nice piece for one of these NBA teams that is looking to fill a guy that is multi-talented and can do a lot of different things on the court.
On the takeaway, here comes Brown. Denied. Gregory, great hustle. Shot clock is off. The Racers can hold for a final shot.
Well, I love this hustle by Jamal Gregory. Don't give up on the play. That looked like a clear, uncontested dunk. Gregory not giving up on the play. That's a beautiful hustle.
And you know, Tevin Brown was the young man who Matt McMahon and his staff were recruiting when they stumbled upon Ja Morant. What a great story. Well, let's show you what happened in the first game. It was the Dylan Windler show. Went for 30 and 20 for the second time in 3 weeks.
The best kept secret in college basketball. Remember this name if you don't know it. Dylan Windler, for me, he is going to be a guy that you're going to be seeing him play at the next level in the NBA. He is that talented. A guy projected right now to be a late second-round pick. If he continues to play like he did in this first game, I would not be surprised to see him continue to move up the boards. Very few holes in his game. He showed off beyond NBA range in that game, and then his ability to break down the defense, get to the basket, just impressive.
Shanks traveled. Belmont and Murray State met only once during the regular season. The Bruins won that game, and so by virtue of that, they won the tiebreaker and are the #1 seed. And everybody in the league has been anticipating Belmont-Murray State, the rematch in the championship game tomorrow night. Belmont has punched its ticket into that final game. Murray State trying to do the same here against a very game Jacksonville State squad. And this league has only once before, way back in 1987, put two teams in the same season into the NCAA tournament, and it is entirely possible this year. Belmont may have already done enough to get an at-large. Murray State is viewed on the outside looking in with still more work to do. And doing work at the rim is Jamal Gregory. Well, that might be the boost the Gamecocks need going into the locker room. Wow.
And that's what you want if you're Jacksonville State. Try to get a little momentum going into the half. We've been talking a lot about Ja Morant. Jamal Gregory said, I want to hear no more of that. Attacking the rim. That was an angry dunk right there. That is a beautiful finish to the half for Jacksonville State.
Let's go back to Brooke.
Coach, a definite shift in your guys' energy about halfway through that first half. You wanted more. What did you ask of them?
Well, I thought Ja was able to get downhill off the ball screens and obviously playing great. But we were able to finish on some rolls to the basket. And then our defensive effort's tremendous. Hey, we turned the ball over some there late, but we're in a good position going in.
What bothers you most about Jacksonville State?
Well, they've come back seems like 10 games in a row. They've been down big, and they're experienced. They find ways to win. A lot of basketball to be played.
Great, thank you.
Indeed, the Gamecocks in the quarterfinals were down 10. They're down 9 right now. The Audi halftime report starts right after these messages. ESPN's Champ Week presented by Principal. Our score at halftime, Murray State 42, Jacksonville State 33 in this bid to advance to tomorrow night's OVC championship game against the Belmont Bruins. With Malcolm Huckabee, I'm Doug Sherman. Well, Ja Morant has played as advertised. 17 points, 4 assists, doing a little bit of everything for the Racers.
He had his old game going in that first half. Showed off the NBA range right here, going to the basket with the left-hand finish. And then the passing ability. This is what makes him a special player. To elevate his teammates. He did not disappoint in that first half. Really, Jacksonville State had no answer for Ja Morant in that first half.
I like that Ja rules that we had. Very good. Let's go to Brooke. She's got more on the Gamecocks.
Right, well, I talked to Ray Harper coming out of halftime, and he's just really concerned with his team's inability to keep their composure. I said, hey, you were in this position last night. You were down 10, now you're down 9. What do you do? And he said, I just really wish my team would keep their composure. I don't like the way they're cutting to the basket. I don't like how we're passing to each other. We're too passive, and then when we get the ball off the defensive rebound, we're playing with it. We got to stop holding on to it and just get it and go.
Jason Burnell, their man who makes them go, has it once again on the low block, and as always, draws a double team. You know, Jacksonville State has already played a couple of games in this building this year. Of course, they won their quarterfinal last night over UT Martin, but they played a non-conference game here at the Ford Center where they beat Evansville. The Purple Aces of the Missouri Valley Conference use this as their home arena. Bucket by KJ Williams. He's got 10. But back on December 15th, Jacksonville State came and beat Walter McCarty's Evansville Purple Aces. And of course, Walter McCarty is one of the prides of Evansville. Went to the University of Kentucky and played for the Boston Celtics among other NBA teams. But his team lost to these Gamecocks back in December. Purple Aces had their season end in St. Louis a couple of days ago in the Missouri Valley Conference tournament. So Walter is here in the house.
Yeah, but he's doing a nice job. He's going to get this thing going in the right direction. He's got some pretty good class coming in for next season. And what a beautiful facility they have here in Evansville. The conference, the Ohio Valley Conference, really has been impressed with the show they have put on. There's a look at Walter enjoying what we've been enjoying tonight, Ja Morant, but certainly again, he is the pride of Evansville.
No doubt. You know who else? Brad Brownell is from Evansville, Clemson head coach. But I loved it when Walter McCarty was playing for the Celtics and Tommy Heinsohn was calling the games. And Tommy, anytime Walter did anything good, just screamed, "I love Walter." Loved it.
That's a pretty good impression.
That's
right
good,
there.
Heinsohn. You like that?
I like that.
As a New Englander, you would know.
Well, my favorite thing with Tommy is the Tommy points, those hustle points that he talked about. He is one of a kind, one of the best.
Jason Burnell just got warned by one of the officials for throwing an elbow. He threw it in air. Fortunately for him, no racers were around him, but it definitely was done with purpose. Here's Burnell right to the basket.
Well, energy. And that's what you want if you're the coaching staff for Jacksonville State. Your guys to match the energy that Murray State ended in that first half. That's how you're going to get back into this game.
Bullet pass inside, hanging in the air, but the layup missed by Coward. Nice step through. Gregory's having himself a nice game.
And he is the guy that ended that first half with a monster dunk. That's a beautiful Euro step, and then finish with the left hand.
It's a 6-2 run to start the second half for Jacksonville State. Buchanan had the shot blocked by the help defender, Christian Cunningham, who is the OVC's active career block shot leader. Marlon Hunter from the foul line. Morant goes for the long rebound, and it'll be Racers basketball.
We're going to take a nice closer look at Jamal Gregory right here in the open court. Step over, finish with the left. And he's a guy that brought the energy at the beginning of this game and then to close out that first half. And Doug, we talked about last night coming back from that 10-point deficit at the half. They're a dangerous team, and certainly Murray State knows this. Plenty of ball to play in this game.
There's another terrific pass. Buchanan, though, has to bring it back out to Brown. A little bit short, and an over-the-back foul against the Racers. Second foul. Called against Coworth, the junior from Chicago. Over the last 8 games has been really good for Murray State. All double-figure scoring in each 8 games. And averaging 15 points and 9 rebounds while shooting 65% from the floor. Big step forward. Made the OVC all-newcomer team this year. But he commits the foul that turns it back over to the Gamecocks. And in they go to Jason Burnell. Cunningham with the right hand off the window. It's a 3-point ball game.
Well, Jacksonville State has settled into this game in the second half. They've been more patient on offense, and then they've been getting better looks defensively. They've done a nice job contesting shots, and I think the big thing is they've kept Ja Morant under wraps in this first 4 minutes of the second half.
Breon Sanchez sets the screen. Morant just fires away. Not sure that's the shot Coach McMahon was looking for, trying to stop an 8-0 Gamecocks run. Along the baseline, it's cut off. Travel is the call against Marlon Hunter. Well, Jacksonville State was down 9 at the break. They have trimmed it to 3 in this second semifinal of the OVC. Back in Evansville, Indiana, at the Ford Center. And the Stars are out in force. Larry Fitzgerald of the Arizona Cardinals has made the trip. That's the general manager of the Chicago Bulls, Gar Forman. And, of course, Will Perdue, NBA front office man for many, many years, 4-time NBA champion. And, oh, by the way, Irvin Johnson's in the house, along with the man to his right, who is the general manager of the Lakers, Rob Pelinka. Magic is the president of basketball operations for the team, and we appreciate Magic spending a few minutes with Brooke Weisbrod and us during that first half. And obviously he couldn't talk about specifically Ja Morant. He alluded to him, but tampering is a big problem at times in the NBA, and he certainly doesn't want to add that to his list of potential headaches. So didn't say anything, but just his presence to get on a private plane from Los Angeles and fly to Evansville, Indiana to see a basketball game speaks volumes about what he and the Lakers think of Ja Morant. Well,
there's so much at stake now with teams that are drafting these young men coming out of college or overseas. They want to see how these guys perform in these type of situations. Look, this is a huge game for Murray State. We talked to Joe Lunardi before this game, and their resume, we put it up there. If it ended right now, I don't think they have the resume to get in. So I think barring them winning this tournament, it's going to be really hold your breath for Murray State to decide whether or not Ja Morant plays in the NCAA tournament.
Jason Burnell and the Gamecocks, they want to go dancing again this year. They won the OVC tournament a couple of years ago on a 12-2 run to draw back to within 1. Morant still scoreless in the second half. Nice shovel pass. Sanchez is fouled and will head to the line. Well, Jacksonville State is in Jacksonville, Alabama, not Jacksonville, Florida. And for many, many years, they were a Division II powerhouse. In fact, the Gamecocks back in 1985 won the Division II national title. But they transitioned up to D1 in 95. Well, tomorrow it's the final weekend of the regular season, and we have the 2 best games on ESPN. Number 4, Duke. Number 3, North Carolina. That begins at 6 o'clock Eastern. And then number 7, Michigan. Number 9, Michigan State. Both are also streaming live on the ESPN app, so you can watch anywhere. Third personal foul on Jamal Gregory. He's been good for the Gamecocks throughout, one of their double-figure scorers. He's got 14, but has gone to the bench, saddled with those 3. Dietrich Mostella, the Tennessee transfer, is back on the floor. Wearing number 2, he's got the basketball now. He's got only 3 points, but was so good yesterday. Here comes Morant. No numbers, so he turns and gives it off to Brown.
Oh, that's great transition D by Jacksonville State, though. Ja Morant, they created a wall for him in that situation. There were 5 guys in the paint waiting for Morant.
Offensive putback, Christian Cunningham. 4-year starter for the Gamecocks, who has been a reliable cornerstone for what has been a record-setting era at Jacksonville State. Lot of contact. Which way is it going to go? They call it a blocking foul, and Mustela doesn't agree.
Well, right now, I like what Jacksonville State is doing. They are forcing Murray State to be a perimeter team. Murray State still trying to go in the paint, but Jacksonville State doing a nice job protecting the paint, in particular in transition against Ja Morant. He has had very few opportunities to get out open in the open court in the second half and get clean looks going to the basket.
Here goes Morant, splits the double team. Rather than forcing the shot, finds the open man. That's the kind of court presence and vision that the scouts just love. Burnell. Over Sanchez. Jacksonville State retakes the lead at 49-48. Last time the Gamecocks were in front, you have to go all the way back to the 7:18 mark of the first half. Travel. Morant remains scoreless in the second half.
Well, they have changed up their game plan in this second half. They are creating a wall for Ja Morant. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys getting back in transition to stop Ja Morant. He's got nowhere to go. He's got to give it up. That is excellent transition defense by Jacksonville State.
Morant scored 17 points in the first half, none so far here in the second half. He has just 1 dunk. It was early in the game. They have done a nice job corralling him. That's the second foul on Breon Sanchez. Morant leads the OVC in scoring, 8th in the country at 24.1 points per game. Leads the country in assists. He's 3rd in the league in steals, 5th in free throw shooting, 2nd in assist to turnover ratio, and number 8 in the OVC in shooting percentage, as Jason Burnell gets some help, I think, with a contact lens. But if you're Ja Morant at this point, do you start to realize I got to go get my own now?
Well, yes and no. Jacksonville State right now, they're saying somebody else is going to beat us. We just displayed their transition D. They're not going to let him get to the basket. He's going to have to kick it out. Somebody else for Murray State's going to have to step up and make some shots. If I'm Jacksonville State, I'm continuing to do that. Get the ball out of Ja Morant's hand.
Got the ball out of Burnell's hand. His teammates have been doing a nice job of converting, and again it's Cunningham with the layup. You know, you get a sense of the game Jason Burnell can play. Here's a steal. Hunter off the takeaway, lays it in for 2 more. 53-48. Timeout, Murray State. The Gamecocks have raced past the race. In Michigan State, not too bad in the Big Ten Conference either. There's some of the series history. 250th meeting. Tar Heels lead by 27, but we showed a graphic earlier about the fact that over the last 100 games they have split them right down the middle, 50-50, and the point totals on each side in those last 100 games almost identical.
It's amazing how it works out like that, but I would agree, not even close. That's the best rivalry going on in college basketball.
Well, a big bucket coming out of the timeout for Shaq Buchanan, because Jacksonville State had been on a 20-4 run over the last 7.5 minutes. And so that brings the partisan crowd from about 2 hours away in Murray, Kentucky, to its feet.
Murray State in a 2-3 matchup zone.
Here comes Morant. He gets crunched, and the ball goes through the basket, but they will say the foul came before the shot.
And he took a really hard hit on that drive. At the next level, that's a and one. The crowd got awfully quiet. Ja Morant is up. But Ja Morant in the open court right here took a really hard hit. At the next level, that's an and one. But right now, Murray State in the race.
Down 9 at halftime, Jacksonville State has taken a 3-point lead, but right before that stoppage of play, Ja Morant got Malachi crunched, and the officials are taking another look to see if there was anything there that rises to the level of a flagrant 1 or 2 foul and not just a common foul.
Well, I don't think there's anything there. And they're taking a lot of time. I think it's just a guy trying to get in front of Ja Morant, which is not an easy thing to do. We're going to get confirmation right now from a referee.
Yeah, so Barry Mathis, Craig Murley, and John St. Clair, the 3 officials, have decided what the ruling is. They are going to say it's a flagrant 1 as Malcolm continues to get the explanation. So flagrant 1, what else was the explanation, Malcolm?
And he said the reason why it got reviewed and ruled a F1 because he felt like it was not a basketball play or a play on the ball. Now, in my opinion right here, I think this is just a guy trying to stay in front of Ja Morant right here. He has no idea which way he's going. He's trying to get in front of him. I think really that is a bad call. Up until this point, I think it's been a pretty good officiated game right there. That's just a guy trying to stay in front of Ja Morant, something that really is not there, but it's tough to see.
Well, actually, they called it on the trail defender on Mostella, not on the man trying to draw the charge. So it was on Mostella from behind is called for the flagrant 1. Now, the other part of that equation, that should have been an and 1.
At the next level, that is an and 1.
Even at this level, he was not in the act of shooting. I don't know. Either way, Morant gets a couple of free throws off of the flagrant 1 against Dietrich Mostella. And we'll show you one more time. See what you think. Was he in the act of shooting, and should this have been a basket that counted?
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Now, from that angle right there, you take a look at Mostella. He is not making a play on the ball. He basically shoved him in the back. That's a good call. I stand corrected.
Don't look now, but the Racers are right back in front. They withstood the charge of the Gamecocks, and we've got ourselves a ball game with 10:40 remaining in regulation.
Well, Murray State goes back into the 2-3 matchup zone. If you're Jacksonville State, you got to try to break it down in the middle of that zone. As we take a look at right here, Murray State, that's soft touch right there, and then rocking the baby like Westbrook. And not sure you want to do that right now in a tight ball game like this. They're only up 1.
Shaq Buchanan whistled for his first, just the 3rd here in the half against Murray State. If not for the foul call, Ja Morant would have had another SportsCenter top play because he was leaking out and was going to have himself another dunk. I think this might be a clock or a timing issue or something with the. Well, they got it settled, whatever it is. And so the inbound from Jamal Gregory comes for Jacksonville State. In they go to Burnell. Boy, he is money in the bank. You can see that he is a coach's kid. His father, Frank Burnell, is the head coach at NAIA Edward Waters College in Florida. It's an HBCU school in Jacksonville. And Jason plays like a coach's kid.
He sure did.
Ja Morant, that's going to be an and 1. Count the bucket and the foul.
Well, in these pressure situations, you want to see how your star player is going to react. Right here, athletic ability, avoid the hit, go over to the other side, and then finish with the left hand. Ja Morant tonight has shown magic in all these other NBA execs. His full arsenal that he has. He is a guy that can do it all, and right there finishing.
I don't know how you guys feel, but it just seems to me like this is the time of the game where Ja Morant needs to take over. We've seen him try to get his teammates involved, and he is, but he's just too good, and he creates too many good shots for himself that I think he needs to start taking more of them, get more selfish.
Yeah, I agree, but his attempt for the steal right there leads to an and one for Burnell. What do you think about? Well, let's take a look at this bucket as Ja Morant went for the steal, didn't get it.
And that's just excellent offense by Jacksonville State. Again, the gamble by Morant, break down your defense, and then they've shown patience in this second half, coming back from that deficit. And this is something we saw last night with this Jacksonville State team. There's no quitting this team. You have to be pleased with how they've competed if you're that Jacksonville State staff.
Now, Burnell is closing out his senior season in style. He's gone for 30 points 3 times since the middle of January. He picks up the rebound here and gives off the outlet pass to Gregory, who takes it all the way to the basket for 2 more. Jacksonville State back on top by 4.
Well, the athleticism that he has shown off, starting with that finish to the first half he had, and then right there in transition, that is an explosive move, knifing through that Murray State defense.
Ja Morant being denied getting the basketball back by Marlon Hunter. Finally gets it, but has to work hard to do it. Dumps it off Sanchez, who is blocked out of bounds. Shot clock goes off, but I think they're going to put a second back on. And the ball will remain with Murray State.
Well, Doug, give Jacksonville State a lot of credit. In the second half, they've done a nice job putting bodies in front of Ja Morant.
Take another look to see about the shot clock, exactly how much time should be put back on.
Again, you got 2 guys by Jacksonville State right there. Could have been a charge. Block. I think there's about a second left. I think.
Yeah, me too. I do as well. But either way, Jacksonville State comes into this game known as a very good defensive team. They have clamped down on Ja Morant in the second half, and their balance on the offensive end, including Jamal Gregory, has really made a difference as the Gamecocks have come back from 9 down. They have had multiple big comeback victories this year. 3 times they've come back to win games where they were trailing by double digits. The biggest comeback back on January 17th, they were down 14 to Belmont and beat them. I think Matt McMahon has himself a pretty good gripe, because it seemed like the moment the ball was touched on the inbound, the horn went off, and McMahon is going nuts.
And he is giving the shot clock operator a handful right now. And you're right, I think he has a pretty good case.
Rising up Hunter. Shot bounces away, tracked down by Burnell. He's bottled up. Able to bring it back out to Gregory, who attacks, dumps it off. Jacksonville State will reload. This is a veteran team. Gregory's a senior. Burnell's a senior. Ty Hudson is a 5th-year senior. Cunningham's a senior. Hunter's a senior. Mostella is a 5th-year senior.
Well, it shows in their play.
Having to come back down with it, but going back up under control. One of those seniors, Jamal Gregory, give him 18 points.
And that's a beautifully executed play. Now, I didn't get the alley-oop dunk, but Gregory heads up play, come down with it, and then take the deuce.
Morant. And he'll have a chance for three, the old-fashioned way. Well, like Brooks said, you got a sense on that last possession by Morant. He understands he needs to take over this game if the Racers are going to win. Harper's Gamecocks of Jacksonville State University up by 4 after having trailed by double figures as many as 9 at halftime, but they are in the driver's seat right now.
Well, Doug, the energy in that first half, they got down. Ja Morant took over in that first half, but in the second half, it has been a different story. Their transition D, they've created a wall for Ja Morant, and then offensively, they've had some quality possessions, and they've gotten all the 50-50 balls, all those hustle plays they continue to get.
Morant couldn't finish the three-point play, so it's Jacksonville State basketball. 7.5 remaining. The winner gets Belmont tomorrow night for a spot in the NCAA tournament. Get the ball out of the hands of Burnell. It's Mustella. That ball went up on top of the backboard, came down to Cunningham, and he lays it in.
They just continue to be relentless on the offensive glass, and really they're just outworking Murray State right now. In this last 5 to 10 minute stretch, it has been all Jacksonville State.
Morant into a double team. Cunningham with another block shot, but it's a chance for three once again for the Racers. Darnell Cowart, the junior out of Agua Fria High School in Chicago, will head to the free throw line.
Well, he's done some nice things down low around the basket right here. Nice pass by Morant. Block, stick with it. That's a tough shot. Eyes on the rim the whole time. Again, that's great body control and concentration.
And you know, he's really done a nice job transforming his body since arriving on campus at Murray last summer. He's in the best shape of his life, completes the three-point play, and gets his Racers back to within a bucket, down 3. And by the way, that was the third foul on Burnell, who dribbles the basketball out front. Tough shot. Rolls off the rim. Cunningham remains active over Williams, and he's going to shoot 2.
It certainly seems like their offense begins when they take a shot and it's coming off the rims and it's up for grabs. They just have continued to dominate the offensive glass in this last 10-minute stretch. Jacksonville State.
Third foul on KJ Williams. He joined the Murray State starting lineup back in late December. He's going to play on with 6:28 remaining. 1 for 2 from Cunningham, the senior from Albuquerque. Morant behind the back to the left hand, quick release. Foul called on the shot that was blocked by Cunningham. Coach Harper doesn't like the call as Cunningham picks up what is the 8th team foul. And his second. There's the contact, clean up top, but right through Morant's chest. And so the sophomore from tiny Dalzell, South Carolina. You know, the legend goes, and it's true, he did share an AAU roster with Zion Williamson.
That's just unfair right there. Just even saying that right there. Obviously, he's a guy that came on to the national scene this year, but certainly a phenomenal talent. 2 of the most explosive and talented players in college basketball.
There it is, summer of 2014 for the South Carolina Hornets. They played one summer together. Ja was going into the 10th grade, and it was off that summer from that independent low-level AAU beginning that Zion took off, and it took another 2 or 3 years until Ja took off. Everybody's got a different path.
What a great picture that is right there, and I'm sure that will be shown a lot more times as these two guys get to the next level.
they could go 1-2 in the 2019 NBA draft. That's why we've got more than 40 scouts here in Evansville this weekend. Burnell going to work. He is always under control.
I've just been so impressed with their patience. Again, you talked about their roster. They play like a veteran team. They are a veteran team. They never panicked. They were down going into the half. But in the second half, they've just been patient, and then they've executed on both ends.
Morant with the left hand. It's a blocking foul, and either Cunningham or Burnell. It is Cunningham, and so that's his third. So Cunningham and Burnell both have 3.
Well, Doug, the difference in the second half, and you can see it on every drive that Ja Morant has. He has 2 or 3 bodies for Jacksonville State in front of him. Jacksonville State has made him work for every opportunity he's having. Even when he scored, he has felt it. They've done a nice job of creating really a wall around him and making nothing easy for him. So the buckets he's got in the second half, they have all been tough.
We just saw Ja Morant punching himself in the head. He has missed 5 free throws. Gets 1 out of 2 here. Give him 26 points. Ball poked away. Here come the Racers. Morant, if he can track it down. It's Murray State basketball. Once again, Jacksonville State effectively gets back to keep Morant from finishing on a run out.
Well, you can see the adjustment they made. Transition defense coming out of the half. They made an adjustment. They were just going to race 5 guys back, get to the paint. Just don't allow anything in front of you. And they've executed that to perfection in the second half. Transition D.
Ball turned over, back to the Gamecocks. '15th turnover forced by Jacksonville State. Jacksonville State has done a great job of getting into the lane. 50 of their 67 points, Malcolm, have come in the paint. And that's done by Gregory, Burnell, and Cunningham largely. That one in and out for Burnell. And here is Morant. Lining up the 3 is Buchanan. Shaq Buchanan ties the score at 67. Shot clock at 12. Gregory, tough 3. It's an air ball. Cunningham saves it, but it goes right to Morant. Again, Buchanan. 2 in a row. Timeout, Gamecocks. Well, we head to break with 3:12 remaining in regulation of this second semifinal. Is there a little magic in the building between the Racers and the Gamecocks? We'll see how it finishes up.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Principal, Investments, Retirement, Insurance.
Back in Evansville, Indiana, Ja Morant getting more involved late in regulation, helping the Racers retake the lead.
And that play right there really sums up why so many NBA execs are in this building. Basketball instincts. Don't force the play. get into the lane. You know Jacksonville State right now, they're forcing other guys to make shots, draw 2 or 3 defenders, and then kick it out to a wide open shooter. That's just a beautiful execution by Ja Morant, showing off his basketball IQ.
Just over 3 minutes remaining in the second half. Another shot rims out, this time for Mistella. Here's Morant. Down 3, Gamecocks with it. They're the number 3 seed in this OVC tournament. Murray State number 2. And they go to their money man, Burnell. 22 points for the senior. Back to a 1-point game.
They just continue to dominate the paint. Again, not settling for jumpers, work the ball around, and then get high percentage shots.
Morant, the nation's leader in assists, with another nice pass, although it doesn't lead to a shot. Back into the hands of the sophomore point guard. Through the legs, into the lane. Left-handed pass. It's a bullet to the corner. Give him another assist on the triple by Javion Eves. 8th assist of the night for Morant.
That one with the left hand, cross court. Not too many guys can make that pass. One of them sitting courtside. I think he could still do it. Patrick Johnson, but not too many others. Beautiful pass by Ja Morant.
Big stop for the Racers. And now they are in no hurry. Foul on the shot. More free throws upcoming for Murray State. Well, during that last timeout, there has been a gurney that came out to attend to the wife of one of the Murray State assistant coaches. Casey Long is the coach, and his wife's name is Kachia Rivera. And I understand Brooke has more.
Coach Long, it was a lot of excitement over there. Yes, guys, Coach Long's wife actually got a little overheated and required some medical attention in the stands, but I saw them tending to her. She said she's okay. My husband is a coach. I'm just really excited about this game, and I am not going anywhere. So good to see her back and okay in the stands.
Well, that's great to hear. It sounds like a coach's wife, and so they play on, and Casey continues to coach him up on the sideline. A minute 26 remaining in regulation. 6th team foul, the second personal on Buchanan. Coach Harper tried to say it's the bonus, but it's not yet. Sports Center tonight following Nuggets Warriors, and after the buzzer with Stan and Neil, they'll have post-game reactions from Kevin Durant, plus how a 9-year-old girl helped Steph Curry change the shoe game, and rating Duke and North Carolina draft prospects heading into March Madness. Sports Center, 1 a.m. Eastern, 10 Pacific on ESPN and the ESPN app. DeTorian Ware, a freshman who can get hot, comes off the bench and is hot immediately.
What a substitution. You called it. Coming off the bench, and a beautifully executed play. You can't execute any better if you're Jacksonville State coming out of a timeout.
He had played a total of 18 seconds tonight. And this young man who has had a up and down freshman year out of Hopkinsville, Kentucky, he's had 10 DNPs, but Coach Harper says we need something. We need a spark kid get in there. And look at how pure that shot is.
And that's a coach that knows his team. But to make a substitution like that and put a guy in coming off the bench, you know you trust your team. What a beautifully executed play. Jacksonville State cannot say enough about how they fought in this game.
Tomorrow is the final weekend of the regular season, and we have the 2 best games on ESPN. Number 4 Duke, number 3 North Carolina, part 2 at 6 o'clock Eastern. That's followed by Michigan State, another big-time sequel. Both games are also streaming live on the ESPN app, so you can watch anywhere. Ja Morant with the basketball. 53 seconds on the clock. He and the Racers holding on, clinging to a 1-point lead.
Well, if I'm Jacksonville State, I'm making somebody else beat me.
Morant creates. Wide open look, but Brown couldn't hit it, and so the Gamecocks can retake the lead. Hudson to the basket. Missed the lefty layup, but the offensive putback again for Cunningham. 74-73, Jacksonville State. Shot clock is off. Can Ja Morant win it here for Murray State?
Well, if I'm Jacksonville State, I'm running 2 guys at him. I am not letting him be isolated alone at the top.
Spinning. He gets the foul and the basket. Well, we talked about Ray Harper knowing his roster. Matt McMahon doesn't call a timeout, knowing his roster to let Morant go. After the putback on one end, he put the game in the hands of his superstar sophomore point guard.
Well, this right here, I think it's a breakdown by Jacksonville State. Again, the previous plays, they were running guys at him. Ja Morant isolated at the top of the key right there. No help. That is a bad matchup for any team in college basketball. And this is the reason why these NBA execs are here. These games matter. They want to see how these players perform at the end of games.
29 points for Ja Morant. He makes it a 2-point Murray State lead. And so now if you're Jacksonville State and if you're Coach Ray Harper, where do you go here?
Well, you got to go quick. You got 8.8 seconds left. And you got to be quick, get into your offense. I'm going to the basket. You're only down 2. Obviously, you don't need a 3 now. If it comes off of penetration and then a kick out to an open 3, that's fine. But I'm forcing the action, trying to get to the bucket, either get to the free throw line or get a deuce.
Mustella. It was short. And the Racers survive and advance to face Belmont tomorrow night for the OVC title.
Wow, what a game. Back and forth. Ja Morant took over in the first half. In that second half coming out, Jacksonville State adjusted their D. Veteran crew. They fought throughout this game, but then at the end, I felt it was the play of Ja Morant. Assist, and then when they needed a bucket, he delivered. What a performance. What a game, Doug.
Here's his game-winning bucket as part of a 29-point, 8-assist effort.
Well, isolated right here, no help. Not too many people in the country are going to defend Ja Morant one-on-one and one situation. Magic Johnson and all the NBA execs are loving this right here. And then on the other end, Jacksonville State had an opportunity. That's one right there I know they would like to have back, maybe try to draw contact. But Murray State holds on for a win. But if you're Jacksonville State, you have to be happy. Obviously, you lost this game, but their fight and coming back from the deficit in that first half.
As Jason Burnell walks off, let's take a look at the bracket, which is now down to 2 in the Ohio Valley Conference. The regular season co-champs, Belmont and Murray State, will play for the title and an automatic bid to the NCAA tournament, 8 o'clock Eastern time on ESPN2 tomorrow night. Let's go over to Brooke.
All right, John, last time this team beat you by 20 points. Knowing the end of the season, possibly the end of your career at Murray State, could have been on the line. What did it take to get the win?
I
it took a lot of fight, actually. Jacksonville State is a great team. We knew coming in that it was going to be a dogfight tonight, and we were prepared for it.
Take me through that last shot, the game winner. What was Coach talking to you about as far as you taking over the game here?
He tried to get me to go with a ball screen, but I felt like I had my man. I always want to be the one to take the shot, even if I miss, just to put pressure on me. And tonight I made the bucket and to win the game.
This was a very physical game. You got one more to play tomorrow to get to the NCAA tournament, but there were a lot of NBA scouts here tonight in the building. What did you want to show them?
Just what all I can do on the floor in my fight, my drive to play, just to go out here every night and play to the end.
All right, John, what's it going to take to get a win tomorrow?
Another dog fight. It's going to take a lot of toughness tomorrow. Belmont's a great team. They beat us early in the season, so we're going to go prepare for them and hopefully come out with a win.
All right, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Well, in that game, the regular season matchup, John Morant rolled his ankle 100 seconds in. He is going to be 100% for the rematch tomorrow night.
Well, Doug, when I talked to NBA execs about John Morant, they didn't talk about his elite athleticism. They didn't talk about his three-point shooting. They talked about his basketball instincts. Obviously, he has elite ability to get to the basket and finish right here and one situation. And in the game situations, when you need a bucket, John Morant one-on-one, there's not too many people in the world that are going to stay in front of him. But for me, what was so impressive, Doug, his passing ability. He made some passes in this game when he was getting triple teamed by Jacksonville State. He didn't force the action. He was under control the whole time. His basketball IQ off the charts. I wouldn't be surprised to see if he moves up. Right now they're saying 3. I know a lot of people say Zion. They talk about R.J. Barrett. But what I saw tonight, I'll tell you what, if the team needs a point guard and a guy to make decisions for them in the game and control the tempo and pace, whew, my goodness, he is one of the best I've seen. And, you know, Magic Johnson, another guy sitting courtside, he made some passes that looked like magic back in the day. He was impressive all night.
Yeah, Morant finished with 8 assists, could have had more. 29 points, including the game-winning shot on Murray State's final basket. And so, as we've talked about, Joey Brackets has Murray State at this moment in his next 4 out. So really on the outside looking in, they don't have any wiggle room at all. They understand that, and they know the only way they can assure themselves of getting an NCAA tournament bid is winning tomorrow night. And if they didn't get through the semi tonight, they didn't have a chance about playing Belmont tomorrow. We'll take a break. Murray State, on that game-winning shot, advances to the championship. Back to Evansville with more after this.